to Worlds 2019, where Splyce are on the verge of securing a group stage spot. They've turned the entire series on its head with two very dominating wins. Game 1 maybe should have been a dominating win, but there's no disagreement. All of the pressure is on UOL now to find a way back into the series. What do you think?
Yeah, something definitely needs to change because early game advantages turn into mid-game fumbles and then eventually late-game closeouts with ease here for Splyce.
I feel like something that we're consistently seeing from Splyce is a very large early game impact with Xerxe and how he is often playing around his two solo laners and enabling their already strong matchups. This game, or at least in the last one, we saw him playing a lot through the bot lane, but it feels like that AHaHaCiK cannot control the impact that Xerxe is having on the map right now.
No, absolutely not. So how does AHaHaCiK and the Unicorns of Love find a way to control the early game monster that you're seeing on your screen? Because it feels like Xerxe has had an impact every single game, EJ.
Yeah, and I think the most difficult thing is that it takes away from what has been successful for this team. Vedius was saying it earlier on in the day, AHaHaCiK is the bridge which very often gets this team from early to mid-game, gets them an advantage, and all of the action comes from himself, but because it's a collective effort, the solo lane is linking up with Xerxe and collectively like forcing him out of his jungle, it's very difficult to look at the jungler for UOL and be like, you're the guy that always steps up, just do it now, because he doesn't have the resources to do so.
So let's turn our attention then to Boss and to Nomanz. They have, maybe Boss a little more, had moments of brilliance, and they have had some impactful team fights. I can think of the Kale, the Aatrox from earlier in the series. So how do we get these guys feeling more comfortable? Maybe Vedius.
Well, I do think that we want to see some changes in the draft. At the beginning of every Analyst Desk segment, we often talk about how they don't have winning solo lanes, they don't have winning solo lanes, and I felt like that at least in Game 3, Nomanz on this rise, I felt that he was much more impactful, or at least he had more room to play with in this matchup. And with the Camille top lane, again, you could see what they were going for. They were actually trying to enable their solo laners. It was just that the early game did not go in their favor. And I would quite like UOL to stick with this strategy. Even if things have not been going your way, it feels like that right now what you've currently been doing is not working. So have a little bit more of an early game presence with tools to enable you to play through at the later stage if things don't go your way early.
Yeah, and I think to put a lens on that game specifically, I think it already was a bit of a switch up, right? This is the Xayah first pick into Kate Morgana. Very obvious, let's play bottom side, let's play through the Caitlyn lane. But it's just leveraging the fact that you expect your opponents to pick the Rakan. That didn't happen, the Karma versus the Morgana matchup, and then we all saw what happened in the early game. So I would like to see the switcheroo again here from UOL and be like, look, bottom side, we had our one crack. It's not usually how we like to do it. Let's flip those resources back towards Boss, back towards Nomanz, and give priority to the jungler, because it has been a more reliable strategy for them in the past.
I think the inherent reality here is that UOL are not favored to be able to turn this one around. It is an uphill battle to climb, and there is a reason why we predicted 3-0, and if that throw hadn't happened in Game 1, the series could already be over. But
and if I had $1 million, I'd be a millionaire.
Sure, right? But the main point is that I think that Splyce have dominated, and we've been talking a lot more about how Splyce have played this series because it feels like the Splyce are in control. And for the Unicorns of Love, this is potentially their last game of the year. They've done a great job so far at the World's Championship, upsetting the likes of Clutch 2 times. Now, their last hurrah, potentially taking us to a Game 5. If they have anything secret prepared, if they have any special strats, this is your last chance, potentially, to pull out all the stops.
Vedius, we just saw Sheepy walking on stage with the Unicorns of Love, a man that tried to make it to the World Championship for 3 years here in the EULCS. He was prevented at the final hurdle by Splyce, the organization, with Kobbe at the helm. And now Sheepy has to figure out how to stop Xerxe and Vizicsacsi, the players that he relied on for years. Vizicsacsi played 226 games with a UOL jersey on his back. What is going through Sheepy's head when he's staring down the players that he used to coach and lead?
You suck, I'm going to beat you, let's go, we're going to Game 5.
Ejim, how does he do it?
Well, he just needs to think pink. It's front and center on the jersey. It's like right up in the middle, and maybe for UOL, the two former members are still thinking pink. And then that's a win con.
I don't think I quite know what Think Pink means, but I'm going to ask the casters to figure it out. Only one win is standing between Splyce and a spot in the group stage. Let's see if they can close out the series.
I also have no idea what that means, but thank you, Quick Shot.
Just think pink, Dracos. It's easy.
So historically, that was Gnar, Vladimir, team fight at 20 minutes, win the game. But I don't know if that's an option this time around. It's a big question to be answered as we go into game 4. Now, of course, game 1, bam, Splyce couldn't close the game. UOL brought it back. Game 2, Splyce could close the game. Game 3, Splyce could close the game. And for game 4, UOL need to come out swinging, I feel like, in this early game. Need to do something to stop themselves from getting absolutely run over.
Well, the Unicorns are back to blue after choosing that side here, so I think they're freed up a little bit more. They don't necessarily have to ban the Pantheon on blue side, so they do get to leverage an extra ban and get both Qiyana and Xayah knocked on out here. But the war of the fans in the studio is absolutely incredible. I love it.
They're going all in. I respect the Unicorns Love fans because they are standing closer to the stage, but the Splyce fans are matching them.
Unicorns also have an actual unicorn in the studio.
That is an actual unicorn, that's true, 100%. You can see one
It's
live
real.
and in person. Buy tickets for Worlds.
All right.
Unicorns of Love down, but not out. They have one more game to turn this series around and take us to a game 5. If you want to hear Silver Scrapes, you are thinking pink right now.
I love this. Unicorns, 3 bans leveraged at top lane. Either the Syndra or the Qiyana is going to be left open here from the side of Splyce. This is what we were expecting. In game 1, we ran the prep drafts. We thought Unicorns, there's no way they ban the Qiyana themselves. They can pick that up and now give the Xayah Rakan over. But they do have answers. The Heimerdinger, Morgana left open here if they want to knock that one into the Splyce bottom lane.
See what they want to do. How exactly want to deal with 2 very obnoxious picks to lane against.
The problem is, I think, so Xerxe might just go for his jungler here, and now you can't necessarily pick the Morgana, right? If you go for the heavy, prio bottom lane to counter out Rakan, well, then they just pick the Karma. And if you don't go for it, then they just pick the Rakan, and they win either way. So Unicorns of Love is in a really tough position right here, and I think I agree with the analyst desk. Stop trying to win lane through bottom lane. I don't actually want to see the Morgana here. I'd much rather see something like the Nautilus Kaisa as a lock-in, and then play towards your top side, but that wouldn't be UOL style.
There's a Heimerdinger open, and that means UOL are going to pick a Heimerdinger. That would be spicy. I don't think that one's
I don't think that one's happening, Dracos.
But what I do love is that we heard from the desk, Vedius trying to get in Sheepy's head and saying, I'm going to crush you, Chachi. Well, he hasn't crushed him yet, but he did ban 3 of his champions. So options are quite limited for the side of Vizicsacsi, and I feel like he should probably pick a champion here. He might even get more bans levied against him. The Nico, of course, still on the table. And that Renekton only gets scarier as the options get more and more limited for Vizicsacsi himself.
The Nico's the one I'm watching. I think Rumble, too, is something that Vizicsacsi could try to take up into this Renekton. I actually don't even know what he goes for if both those champions get banned away right here. I mean, so far in play-ins, before the series today, it only played the Kennen, the Gnar, and the Gangplank, of course, added the Cho'Gath to that list earlier, but definitely a smaller pool that he's shown. And against the Renekton, it's weird because I think the Nico is something I'd like to see him on. He played that a couple times, I think, in the regular season, but not a pick I would necessarily associate with him. It is those power 3 that UOL took away from him to deny.
And now the Fiddle's been banned away, I imagine the Morgana will follow. No, interesting, the Twisted Fate. So they're not as concerned with that Morgana pick from Edward.
Still really worried about the TF. Almost every game Splyce has played here, it's a second phase Twisted Fate ban. Now, if they're following common trends, they go ahead and run out of this rotation and pick themselves a counter into Renekton. It's going to be the Nico of the Rumble, I'm pretty positive, and then Humanoid can get his counter pick. Now, Kali has been banned away, and that was the thing he went blind for in game number 1, so unless he thinks he needs to deny the Corki from Nomanz, I think he just waits to get that perfect matchup.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, what Vizicsacsi's playing into. Nomanz not known as a Renekton player. That would be a massive throwback. I believe it was 2017 Spring MVP was Vizicsacsi on the back of incredible Shen performances for the Unicorns of Love themselves. Feels a little bit fitting that in what could be their final game at Worlds, he will play the Shen against them.
And now you've got the Shen Nocturne for dive, Shen Rakan for dive, whatever you want to do. Now, the strange thing is that they did leave the Morgana open, so the counter is definitely there, and they didn't decide to remove all of those options here from UOL. And now just looking at this draft, it feels like there's so many strong lanes to try and play around. I was not expecting this. This could be Qiyana in the mid lane now, or it could be Karthus in the mid lane. There's flex options now for the side of UOL to try and guarantee themselves a good matchup up against Humanoid, even though he does have counter pick.
This draft is all over the place. You could opt for the Lissandra here. Obviously very easy for her to get on top of a pick like Karthus or Qiyana, and it looks like they're okay with either of those matchups as they will lock it in, and it should go into the hands of Humanoid.
So we know why Splyce left open Heimerdinger and Morgana. It's because they are going to kill bottom lane at level 6. You don't survive against this. Lissandra is going to have a window to try and roam against whoever she lanes against. Xerxe on the Nocturne with the Shen on top. You have the ability to just break the game open through bottom lane. And some pretty passive solo laners to try and just get through the laning phase till you can make that point happen. We're still waiting on the final lock-in here from UOL. I think you might actually take the Karthus into Lissandra. Lissandra, too many good defensive tools to lane up against the Qiyana is my read on the situation, but they are going to put that back into mid lane at the last second.
See what AHaHaCiK can do here in the early game. Just about farming up, fighting for that level 6, racing against the Nocturne, who will probably have a similar goal. Shen, of course, an interesting champion, can be pretty strong in the early game, all about where those first few ults go, if he can make an impact on the map, or potentially find a lead in the laning phase. A nigh impossible task against the likes of Renekton, but if anyone can do it, it is Vizicsacsi, longtime Shen enthusiast. Sheepy checking his watch. Duke and Sheepy walking away. And this could very well be the final game. Splyce versus Unicorns of Love. A matchup I never thought we would get to see on the international stage after the group draw, but sometimes the script is just a little too perfect, Ender.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Getting ready to get onto the Rift right here. And both these teams with the tournament life on the line for Unicorns of Love. We need 2 wins in a row to stay alive, while Splyce just need one more perfect early game, one more closeout to punch their ticket to the group stage.
And that man with a pineapple showing his praise to AHaHaCiK. And this is it, match point. Splyce with the game advantage. It is on UOL to take us to a game 5. And hopefully they can hear the Silver Scrapes plan already. Early game is going to be the biggest decider here, Ender, as it often is.
So this is a game where we're not going to see that crazy level 1 strategy from Splyce, I don't think. Don't have the same early game presence of an Olaf or a Karma to try and divvy up the map right off the bat.
And of course, for Splyce, their early game has been dominant in all 3 of our games, even in the one that Unicorns of Love managed to pull ahead of. You can see game 1, game 2, that is consistency, regardless of composition. 6.2K in game 3, that's terrifying. Not going to happen anymore, you already mentioned it. There's no Olaf this time, so probably not nearly as easy to snowball something like that.
Maybe some moves coming through from UOL here. As Boss, remember, game 1 started off with Splyce setting up 5 members to try and punish Boss for sitting in that bush. Surprised, honestly, he went for it again in this game.
They're now moving into the enemy jungle.
This is what I was waiting for, though. Because Karthus is so strong at level 1, now they have the ability to try and split the map, and this is going to buy the freest laning phase for Edward and Innaxe. Now, when we saw this duo run it up against Clutch, there were some misplays on their side. They had to lose their flash at level 1, so you have to be careful for that Rakan to jump onto you and then potentially lose a trade. But the ideal situation now for UOL is that they can absorb this first wave, freeze the lane on their side while AHaHaCiK is on this bottom side of the map, and then Kobbe and Norskeren don't really get to play the game. They sort of feel the pain that Innaxe and Edward were in last game in the same situation.
Once again, the map is divided. Top side for the likes of Xerxe, bottom side for AHaHaCiK and the Unicorns of Love. And on the top, already you can see the Vizicsacsi is doing quite well in the respective lane matchup. Has yet to hit level 2, however, so less than ideal. Forced off the wave as Boss gets his a little bit ahead of schedule. So while level 1 looked good, now the Boss is level 2. Now that he has a bit of fury to back up those abilities, it is going to be a bit harder for Chachi. A good bounce, though, means that Chachi should be able to hold it on his side of the lane for a little while. Downside, though, Boss now gets to move into his own jungle to keep an eye on this Nocturne.
Ooh, getting the collapse now on towards Xerxe. He might have to flash away from here. AHaHaCiK is already level 3.
Stepping in. Spell Shield is there, forcing the flash out from Xerxe. Well played.
Finally flipping the script on this jungle matchup. This entire game, it has been Xerxe punishing, or this entire series, rather, it's been Xerxe punishing AHaHaCiK. Now AHaHaCiK so strong on the Karthus, can clear the jungle so fast, skipped his red buff entirely to make this invade happen. Now trying to steal away the Krug camp. Xerxe can't actually contest with this. It's just not possible.
And Vizicsacsi can go in to try to help, but Boss is there. And even if you kill the Karthus, his damage output remains.
AHaHaCiK has finally out-jungled Xerxe at the start of the game. We've waited 3 games. Xerxe has always had the upper hand. Now he bought bottom lane a free winning matchup. Top lane now too gets to fully shove in. He denies multiple camps inside of Xerxe's jungle. This is absolutely perfect play on the Karthus.
And Boss continuing to hold pressure. Nomanz doing fine in the mid lane matchup, but as we mentioned already, level 6 is the point where this game really will break open for one of these teams. It is either the Requiem for Karthus, or it is the Submarine with both the Shen and the Nocturne moving on to that bottom side. Edward and Innaxe have to be ready, because while the Black Shield is nice, it is not enough to stop a Lissandra, a Rakan, a Nocturne, and a Shen from diving in. That is the power of the Splyce composition.
You always have to be concerned for that bot lane dive when level 6s do come through. I can't help but look at these compositions too and feel like Unicorns 11 is sort of all over the place in what they want, especially as we look later in the game towards team fighting. You know, they have a very strong soul laner in Renekton. Qiyana will scale up into being quite the threat, but as far as team fighting goes, it's rather strange because their consistent DPS is all going to be magic damage, so Splyce can definitely try to itemize against that. And it's not the most reliable of outputs in a true 5 versus 5. When you are rocking mage compositions, you have to be much more mindful of your cooldowns. And while, you know, AHaHaCiK doesn't have to be super concerned with that because he just smashes his Q button, Innaxe and Edward definitely do have to be much more aware. So team fights are going to be about finding picks, finding burst trades with their ranged pick tools on the side of Unicorns of Love, as opposed to just running into that straight up front to back, which is what Splyce definitely want to go for.
And the theory crafting is there, and I'm curious to see if we even get to that stage. Because as much credit as you're giving them, you're talking about kind of how these team fights could play out. We just have yet to really see an early game from Unicorns of Love, up until this game, where they aren't falling incredibly far behind very early on. And we're in Innaxe pretty far forward here.
They need to burn the Black Shield from Edward, or he can't really do anything. Now, the wave isn't, you know, as stacked in UOL's favor, so they don't have that to work with. Seems like Splyce just want to set up this push to buy a reset for Kobbe and Norskeren, make sure they're the ones back to base first. And what this actually buys is effectively 2 times, or 2 waves that you have push lead on. Unless their resets get canceled every single time, or unless they want to go for it at all. Kobbe should go back to base, maybe look to teleport in himself.
And Innaxe and Edward starting to run out of mana, though. Don't know if they're actually going to be able to get a punish off here. Important to note, Kobbe does have the TP. Last game he opted for the heal, a bit more combat efficiency, but this time we'll be able to make it back to the lane phase pretty quickly.
I think Unicorns missed a potential window. They're trying to full push this wave, but with the TP on the other side, Kobbe is pretty free to clear that up. Now, I was looking at an AHaHaCiK and thinking, if you freeze the wave on your side of the map down bottom lane, an AHaHaCiK can roll on in and deny Kobbe, because if he TP's in, I mean, his support can't join him. That's not a Yumi. So it would be a 1v3 situation, but because the lane gets shoved all the way into his tower, he's able to pick it all up and now freeze it on his side. And by keeping this cannon minion here, he'll be able to deny a lot of minions, because cannon minions do a whole bunch, and that's going to keep frozen on their side. Now, Innaxe in the potentially rough situation with the potential flank from Norskeren to make it on down here.
And the other thing I like about this is it does free Norskeren up to roam to place down a little bit of vision, knowing that his AD carry is safe, freezing that wave under tower. But it's a similar position now for Edward. Has to be a little bit careful, though. Innaxe is, looks like in a vulnerable position, but they're not going to spot this one out, so they're not going to get it. Knocked back into the wall and instantly killed. Edward's going to grab that first blood. That was so clean.
That was super clever, too, because not only does the Black Shield stop it from Humanoid, you know, locking down Nomanz and making sure it can't get out, it denies the Aftershock proc from Humanoid, too. He can't get that bonus resistance to try and stay alive as Boss takes a really big trade, but look at this. Both AHaHaCiK and Nomanz are on the way for the dive.
coming top wave. They don't have vision in that brush, and AHaHaCiK and Nomanz are right there. Humanoid can't afford to step forward. Hits that stun. Must have been a visual bug on our end, but it now looks like Humanoid is trying to escape. Forced to use the ulti on himself. Good bit of damage comes down, but a lot of pressure now on the top side. Dark Harvest stack over to the like of AHaHaCiK. Xerxe, though, already on the bottom side of the map, responding with a Drake. Will they go for the dive here?
It's going to be hard to, with Shen ultimate up and available. Humanoid does not have his own, though, but AHaHaCiK on the card that's so good at diving towers can just go for poke trades.
Ulti coming out, trying to make sure that Vizicsacsi can't cancel it, yeah.
Ambitious use right there, but they will be able to pick up at least 1 plate for themselves. That's a
Come
taunt!
forward, Vizicsacsi, trying to buy a bit more time with Spirit's Refuge, but he can't sidestep enough. The Skittles gonna take him down, taste the rainbow on the top side of the map.
Straight up greed right there. Vizicsacsi thought he could make the play, has the flash, but does not use it. Now Unicorn's gonna be trading money on the top side for the late game insurance of that Mountain Drake. I think that's going to be a trade up for Unicorns, because honestly, this entire series, they've been playing from a deficit. If you come out of the early game, even or with a lead as Unicorns, you all of a sudden have so much more confidence in your mid-game abilities to try and fight up against the side of Splyce.
Just huge stun there on Kobbe. With the lost chapter now completed for the Heimerdinger, he can just indefinitely kind of spam out these towers, especially as levels start to come more towards him. Humanoid, though, in the mid lane has the blue buff. And now as we look in on the top side, you can see this was very back and forth play overall.
Yeah, so right now they're just chipping out underneath the tower. Humanoid doing a relatively decent job of dodging away from some abilities. Then with the potion ticking, I think that's a bit overambitious, as I mentioned, from an AHaHaCiK, and this is where we see Vizicsacsi. Usually taunt champions are super good at protecting against tower dives, but Boss with the healing he gets, as well as the double dash, makes it so Vizicsacsi doesn't really stand a chance. And also, Karthus Q does double damage when it only hits one target. Vizicsacsi had no minions around him either, so it was a pretty easy pickup for an AHaHaCiK.
And the top lane matchup will only get harder as we get out of the early laning phase. Of course, Shen, a lot of kind of just strong base numbers on his kit, but the way that things have been going, you can see more and more gold going to the pocket of an AHaHaCiK. And whichever one of you in the audience brought a pineapple, this is the time to raise it high, because this man is set to carry the game.
He's doing it!
Bring the pineapple. And that's what we've been waiting for, Pineapple Man. We've been waiting to see an AHaHaCiK show up. We said junglers will be the difference makers, and this time it's an AHaHaCiK backed up by all of UOL to secure an early game. You know, almost a 20 CS lead for a Karthus, and once he starts to get magic penetration itemization, you are not going to want to go toe-to-toe with him.
Look at this move from UOL. They tracked Xerxe on the top side of the map with all those deep wards. See him spotting over that, so had brought an AHaHaCiK over to potentially try and deny some minions. And now, you know, we have level 6 on Xerxe, we have level 7 on Vizicsacsi. Humanoid 2 has his ultimate. I'm just waiting for that play. You know, Splyce, they had the setup. We wanted to see them attack the bottom lane. That has yet to happen. And I can't help but feel like a lot of it is because they don't know where an AHaHaCiK is. You know, the Karthus clears jungle much faster than any other pick in the game. And playing from back foot, haven't been able to do much.
Pulling back with the Karthus is right here in the midst of the fight. The Qiyana throws them back. They're right into Karthus. That's not where you want to be. They might get the Qiyana, but they won't get anything. Humanoid now has to run for the hills. Shen comes over the wall, tries to buy a bit more time, and AHaHaCiK throws down the Skittle, trying to finish off. Humanoid won't quite do it. Rakan here to try and save the day, but the ultimate is off cooldown. Presence of mind, resetting it right. The Guardian most, but Norskeren is there. A Guardian indeed. The mastery will stop that from turning any further against the likes of Splyce.
Unreal right there. Splyce do make it work somewhat in the end, but this is what I was talking about. They are not tracking an AHaHaCiK to the same level they've been able to all series long. An AHaHaCiK definitely showing up where he needs to be, when he needs to be. Kobbe still has access to ultimate, so he's going to be all right.
Of course, the Heimerdinger, rather, not Hecarim. Ulti was used there in that exchange. And now Humanoid getting bullied out here in the mid lane. Opted to go for the revolver instead of, very often we see the early lost chapter into the Proto Belt, but he seems to be doing fine on mana thus far. Proto Belt will help him out in the individual 1v1, as well as any coming team fights. Binding. Good from Vizicsacsi holding on there, but Boss just continue to press an advantage here, and we have a huge lead for the side of Unicorns of Love, Ender.
Right, it's a really interesting game now. You know, UOL have this big lead, but when you look at these two comps, they both play on such long cooldown windows before they can make plays. You know, AHaHaCiK, his ultimate, Nomanz, huge playmaking tool there as well, and Splyce, we know the level 6s are so key too. But I think when you compare the base kits of these champions, you know, just the 3 spells, not including the ultimate, you have to almost always favor, you know, the Renekton, the Karthus in the jungle as well, even the Heimerdinger just to get push off down bottom lane. So when we are in these windows where, you know, both teams don't have the tools necessarily to fight, I almost always give the upper hand to the Unicorns.
Next flashing out, Norskeren now in trouble. Giving a lot of respect over there to the opposition as Boss breaks that tower. Rest of the team now taking up home in the mid lane, but Humanoid pretty comfortable to clear out these waves. Protobelt's forward to try to get it done. And now dashes away, but in the meantime, the Rift Herald has already dropped, and that means a few more free plates for the likes of Nomanz. See if they want to share the gold or just give it over to him. It looks like an AHaHaCiK wants in on the action. Humanoid has to back off here. Big damage! Had the ulti up and available, does not get the chance to use it.
Unicorns might be able to look for more. Check this out. Boss has moved down from the top lane in towards mid. They can completely deny Splyce away from this tower. There's a Drake spawning up too, but if they're able to kill the tower before the Rift Herald does die, maybe they can take that charge. Wasn't able to tell if that did go down.
TP now
did
from the bottom side. Kobbe moving in. The Heimerdinger running for his life. Kobbe desperately wants this kill here. Xerxe now backing off. Double daggers come through. Innaxe, no mana. Kobbe going to finish that one out and walk away cleanly. Good punish from Splyce.
Definitely needed to see that move come from them after Unicorns took that mid lane tower. Now Unicorns, they have that major objective knocked away, and AHaHaCiK getting feisty.
Skittles get harder to hit as the enemy team gets boots.
Looks impossible.
It's Dance Dance Revolution.
Nomanz has ultimate. Does he want to go?
I don't think he wants.
I think
This is super questionable.
He's feeling it.
He's gonna back off.
Walking in 1v3. Oh no!
Now gets locked up. Hello, Nomanz.
Oh!
That's huge, but still a 1-for-1 shutdown onto the Qiyana. I'm gonna say not worth. Bold play.
I think he was trying to see if an AHaHaCiK could get an ultimate in there too. Maybe if some spells go the right way, they can turn that into a 1-for-2. But I agree, over ambitious for sure coming through from Nomanz, just trying to style on these kids.
Qiyana does only get scarier too. The bad news is whoever you give gold to on the enemy team also gonna get a lot stronger, a lot faster. Shutdowns key for Splyce to come back into this game. All right, so thought process here.
So actually, watch Norskeren, because I think he hides behind the wall. Nomanz can't see him charge the ultimate. Yeah, there you go. Then gets the flash into W knockup. Still the immediate one-shot onto Xerxe. And yeah, he actually throws 2 Qs at Xerxe that don't do anything. I think if he hits Norskeren, either A, he one-shots him, because he was doing an obscene amount of damage, or B, it gets him in threshold so that an AHaHaCiK can drop the Requiem on him.
Still, potentially an unnecessary risk. But
For sure.
As we mentioned before, UOL still with a handsome enough lead that they can feel pretty comfortable. 1.5 items coming through for Kobbe.
Where have I seen this before?
Picks up a second BF sword. This is how Splyce was doing.
Yeah, that's what Splyce was doing, Dracos. Taking unnecessary risks. Still won, though.
Yeah, it did. And the thing is it's only going to get scarier too, because now you're looking down. Luden's Echo for the Heimer. You're very close to a Duskblade. Karthus is hit double magic penetration items. Level 11 is the next thing you need to look for. Double magic penetration plus level 11 Karthus at this point in the game is incredibly oppressive. Requiem does so much damage, and the cute little Merc treads for Vizicsacsi is really the only form of magic resistance on the team outside of Norskeren's matching pair. So,
And AHaHaCiK hurts, okay?
Yeah, that's the bottom line.
It's really, really painful. Here's 4 members try to collapse on towards bottom lane. They still have TP2.
Wall of Pain. Humanoid now needs to retreat. A Proto Belt to dodge the Skittle. He's walking further under. Good spell shield comes out. Locked up by the Water Blade, though. Humanoid trying to buy a bit more time. Meanwhile, Boss is going in on the top side. Innaxe going to grab Humanoid. Boss going to get spotted out here, though. They're going to look to collapse on the Renekton. He will be able to walk away. Picture-in-picture action as Unicorns of Love set their sights on that Ocean Drake.
Unicorns getting everything they need right there, punishing Humanoid down on that bottom side of the map. And Boss is buying more and more time here. Speaking of unnecessary risk, he's going in, but he knows there's no one else really here.
He's a level 11 Renekton with the Spear of Shojin. No one's trying to take that fight right now. Edward, though, continuing to clear out vision. Unicorns of Love choking out on the bottom side, making sure that Splyce cannot farm comfortably. Edward still has to be careful, though. Innaxe still has to be careful, though. Heimerdinger going to do a lot, but there's no ultimate available. Makes him much easier to leap on top of.
So one fun little thing going on with the Unicorn's composition right here is Karthus' Wall of Pain does shred magic resistance of his target. So whenever he drops that Wall of Pain, it A, sets up for a skill shot like the Empowered W from Innaxe's Heimerdinger, which is that giant laser cannon that goes flying at your face. It slows him down to make that hit pretty quickly, and it also makes him take a lot more damage from it. So look for some one-shots later on, assuming Innaxe can get some more gold under his belt.
Does he get the Heimerdinger dream of empowering the Rockets on the W and sending them through 5 people in a team fight? That's what we're going to have to find out.
I'm waiting. And if you can't finish them off, then you have the Requiem on top of that.
My question for you, Ender, is do we get the exact opposite of Game 1?
Oh, no.
Where UOL are super far ahead, look like they're on the verge of closing, and then Splyce turn it around. Because Splyce do have a lot of good team fighting tools. Shen, probably not the best scaling pick, but we've seen what Kobbe can get done with enough CC to support him, and he certainly has enough CC to support him.
Yeah, so I honestly could see it happening, because I think, realistically, I like a lot of Splyce's odds in later game fights. The problem I think they're going to run into is them potentially lacking damage. You know, once a lot of people start to build more defensive on the side of Unicorns of Love, Xerxe going to be a lot less effective.
Grassblade goes in, waiting, going to dash out to safety. A second Grassblade, waiting out Xerxe's ultimate. Is going to ult right back onto Norskeren. A little bit.
Good playing with his food. Nightmares. Nightmares right there.
That does not seem fair. All right, well, he has a support. All that MR he's buying doesn't really help him against the Qiyana. The Glacial Shroud, a little cute there, but without any more than making up the difference.
I do think team fights will get interesting, though, because Unicorns have a lot of anti-dive tools. Not going to have too much time to think about that, though, because 18 minutes on the clock. Unicorn still playing on offense, pushing just about everywhere. One person is on another side of the map, buying time.
Dashes over the wall. Ult's there. He's going to try to dash.
Oh,
He's gonna kill
no.
Qiyana is so powerful. Kobbe gets locked up. He grabs
Can
him.
he turn?
He can kill. He can kill. He can kill. He can kill. He's going to try to finish it. No, the shutdown is there.
Look at bot lane, though. They keep on going with the push. The minions underneath the tower. Chachi just trying to hold on. He has a Tiamat, but he can't step forward and actually out of the wave.
Chachi's going in. There's so much magic damage. Uses the stopwatch to try to buy time, but AHaHaCiK is now stepping forward. The ulti's already been used by the Karthus. They now need to retreat. TP for Humanoid is up and available. TP for Kobbe a few seconds away, but they're not going to go in for anything more. 6K gold lead to UOL at the end of that play.
It's really important that Splyce keep funneling all these kills on towards Kobbe. Yes, he burnt his ultimate and the flash, just try and chase down and get that kill, but that's an important shutdown for him, and staying even at least in terms of levels at the moment, trying to hold on in terms of gold. Nomanz trying to go for this play. I actually think he surprised himself with the amount of damage he did. He was walking away, he's like, wait a second, that's just one more auto attack. And Kobbe says, I need to get in here.
Oh, yeah, okay. So it looks like he doesn't have the cooldown to grab the mountain blade, or he most certainly would have killed him. The terrain blade, I don't know. Yeah, that was my face! That's how I felt, too!
Same.
Any of those faces, they're all fine.
Get that man a pineapple. He's already got one. He's playing jungle for him.
Pineapples. Oh, no! Oh, my God! That was a supreme display of balance. There's not much more to say about that one. Nomanz now has to run for the hills. Grassblade will give him stealth. They have no way to auto-attack him. The Fear is going to take him just outside. Edward too little too late. Good that they're able to grab a kill back. But here comes the Heimerdinger. The flash, the ult. Here comes the big tower, and there's nowhere for Xerxe to go. It does stop the tower from auto-attacking, though, when you TP to it, so...
Do they just go Baron here? 10 seconds away, and AHaHaCiK.
Humanoid has a Shen TPing in, but they need to get away. He's just going to flash over the wall. The dash comes in. He's going to walk away as he clears the wave.
Okay, I don't think he has enough mana to go for the Baron here.
He has blue buff.
It's true.
The Heimer, they don't have the vision cleared out. 14 seconds left on Xerxe.
This ward is going to reveal them, though, and that's gonna be trouble for them with a lot of TPs
else they
on the side
know.
of Splyce. Oh, they know.
Humanoid, Kobbe, TPs. Vizicsacsi here. Wall of Pain comes out. Vizicsacsi potentially in trouble. Will dash to safety, but Norskeren is here as well with the double buff he got earlier. Don't think this is the point where they try to turn. Boss gonna step forward on a Norskeren, though. Black Shield gonna make sure that he can move his way into this one. Can't get a second dash out. Instead, he's focusing on Vizicsacsi for now.
Smart move from Bros there, of course. Shen can just drop the W on himself and block all auto attacks, which means no stun can come through from Renekton. Still Unicorns using this pressure to move in towards an Ocean Drake. There's not a lot that Splyce can do against this, so I like their maneuver now. Splitting sides of the map, they can try to get some vision control of their own around this area, because with a Karthus and a Heimerdinger, that Baron goes down fast. And with a Qiyana and a Morgana, this Lissandra is going to go down fast too.
Locked down, gonna try to walk away. Oh.
Just kidding, just kidding. I didn't mean it. I meant it, I meant it.
You didn't mean it. He's going in. You didn't mean it. Humanoid lives. Vizicsacsi body. Oh, no.
He doesn't have ult.
Oh, Guardian! Norskeren!
Absolutely clutch.
5 Lissandra. Norskeren, whatever else happens this game, is a hero.
That was a roller coaster, Drake.
Yeah, saving Private Ryan, way worse than saving Humanoid mid. That's all I'm going to say. This is way crazier. Oh, God.
Oh, man.
I mean, whatever else happens, we can all be happy that we're going out on a banger. This is a crazy game.
Yeah, kind of a crazy series when you think about it. Unicorns able to pull that game 1 from the clutches of defeat, now sitting pretty in game number 4 with a 6K gold lead. Rabadon's now finished on an AHaHaCiK. If you thought this guy was strong before, he now has, I want to say 500 AP.
And look, if you're on the side of Unicorns of Love, the triple ban Chachi strategy is looking really good for you, because it opens up so many champions, and Splyce can't take them all. Splyce isn't taking your Heimerdinger. They might take your Qiyana jungle. They're not taking your Renekton.
Yeah, it's so hard, too, with Splyce's dive comp to actually kill the backline because of all the peel tools of the Black Shield. Even if you kill, you know, the Karthus, he's still going to be pumping out damage. Innaxe, too, can just drop the big tower. So what Splyce's comp wants to do is kind of difficult to pull off against a strong Unicorns of Love composition here.
trying to check the pit, trying desperately to move in. One blue trinket up and available for Kobbe. Gotta feel like he uses it now. 6K getting lower. Xerxe could have his hero moment right here.
Always watch the flank from Nomanz. Flanking on Qiyana is so pivotal.
They just go back to the Baron, though. They just go back to the Baron in the meantime. That's the claw burned. They can just walk right into the pit. The TV's coming in, but it's going to be too little too late. He tries to make his way in. Is it going to be enough? He got it! Xerxe gets it. The taunt is there for follow-up, but they might lose the following fight. The Qiyana cannot find a way in. That is a heroic moment coming in from the likes of Xerxe. Can they stop the fight, though? Nomanz already burning the ultimate, has been locked up, needs the grass blade to make it out. Will go invisible. Innaxe now stepping forward. Kobbe brings the feathers back and he locks him up, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Vizicsacsi out of the midst of the team. Humanoid running for his life. Splyce may have got the Baron, but they will lose the following fight. Humanoid taken out, and Unicorns of Love move up to 6K difference.
A brilliant effort, though, from Xerxe to fly into the pit with Paranoia and seal that one away. Can Unicorns get anything? I mean, Splyce have just bought themselves so much time now with the Baron to deny the siege from Unicorns of Love. Stalling out in the mid game. This, honestly, if you told me it was Splyce blue side, Unicorns red side, I would believe you, Dracos, because this actually feels like a picture-perfect reversal from the rest of the series.
You'd believe that there was a Renekton top and a Heimerdinger bot?
Just kidding.
Okay, there you go. You took the champions out, you just put the gold in and the game state. And it would look really, really convincing. And this moment right here is fantastic from Xerxe, because they take this Baron after he gets ults in like that, they just lose everything.
Yeah, and even though Unicorns peel off the Baron, they still have the Heimerdinger towers to keep it in range. Brilliant job going in there. Early smite from AHaHaCiK as well. A misplay from him, but a better reaction from Xerxe. Then Unicorns are able to chase down for a couple of extra kills, but that is as we expect in a game like this where they do have such a lead. Important that, he gets the stun off onto Kobbe, so Kobbe can't kite back with his auto attacks, and then they can dive under the tower for a little bit extra. Unicorn still in control of this game, but definitely going to be slowed down for quite some time.
Yeah, Double Ocean definitely not ideal either. They have 1 minute and 41 seconds and counting left on the Baron power play. They're currently at plus 38 gold. It's going to tick a lot. So
Still better than game 3.
Now 100. Now, okay, all right. I'm not going to talk about the Baron power play anymore. But clearly not a great Baron power play on the side of Splyce. Sorry.
Actually, look at the items from Kobbe. We were talking about the shutdowns he got earlier in the game. He has now 3 items. This guy is strong.
Well, and you kind of saw it in the pinch there. If that was a situation where he's approached from multiple sides, definitely would have looked different. But when he gets to pull the feathers through multiple members of the enemy team, Xayah does so much damage.
Yeah, I actually think this is a game where he'd be well off to invest in a QSS, even with his ultimate, just because you have the threat of Morgana binding, which you can react to, but it's really hard to react to that Renekton stun. And with so many CC tools coming your way, if you have the QSS, you can hold onto your ultimate for more opportune time. Would like to see him go down that line. Might not have the chance here.
And interesting, I was double checking, making sure he did not start the game with the stopwatch, and it looks like he didn't. So could look to buy that as well. Help out against the Karthus and the Qiyana. The fights to come, mitigating some of those big burst spells. Vizicsacsi is barely tanky enough to step forward, but it does mean that the push will be slowed for now.
And especially on these sieges, watch out for the magic resist shred on the Wall of Pain, because you can drop that and it's the size of the entire lane, and then the poke comes through and it becomes very, very difficult to deal with. Now I really like the move from UOL to walk so far forward and poke Xerxe as he's trying to walk towards this mid lane. It basically secures them, this inner tower. Splyce going to be regulated to their own base for the time being. And this is just what you sort of have to do. You know, hold on to those inners as long as possible, but ultimately recall and defend those inhibitors, because you can just stall out for the next Baron. Maybe you have a better chance at a fight with this Xayah that is going to be very, very powerful, finishing off, you know, her 4th item as that Baron comes a little bit closer into spawning. And we're gonna have some options.
Yeah, and of course, there's always the threat of the Vizicsacsi Xerxe duo collapsing on a side lane. It is a bit difficult, given the kind of overall lack of damage, given how far behind that they are, but is something that can work for the team. Humanoid may look very far behind, and he is relative to his lane opposition, but has pretty good tools to kick fights off. So it's all eyes on Kobbe to be the damage source. The team around him, enough resources to support him, but probably not enough to be carries themselves.
The gold differences across the board are really interesting, because, you know, you expect Unicorn smashing in a whole lot of positions. Jungle especially, just a monstrous lead, almost 5,000 for AHaHaCiK. Mid lane too, of course, very much in favor of Unicorns. But as we said previously, Kobbe doing very well to keep up himself. He actually has more gold than anyone else in this game. He has more than AHaHaCiK or Nomanz. That's the benefit of the shutdowns. That's the benefit of Splyce donating him so many resources in this mid-game period. He's just trying to scoop up about everything he can, and that's why his CS looks so bloated compared to the rest of the game.
And outside of another Miracle Nocturne steal, though, I'm very concerned as to how Kobbe actually fights around a Baron.
Right.
Because there's so much room to control space. You talk about the Wall of Pain. He can't walk through that. If he gets slowed down like that, he's going to be forced to ult immediately. You can't stand near a wall or Nomanz just ults you. You can't stand near a Renekton or he kills you. and the Heimerdinger can just set up a big tower, and then there's really no way for the Xayah to walk in. She's not tanky enough.
It's really strange because Kobbe has a lot of tools to deal with the Qiyana and the Renekton melee champions with his ultimate, the CC from his feathers as well. He has great kite back tools, but he's going to get outranged by the Karthus and the Heimerdinger every single time. So the start of these fights might actually look good for Splyce, I think, if he's able to stay alive and use his spells correctly. But I'm always going to be hesitant to say that even after the fight looks good right off the bat, that Splyce would be able to potentially close out on a fight because they can't actually cut the distance onto those priority ranged members.
Just what a world we live in. We got Sheepy going toe-to-toe with 2 former teammates. We got Norskeren going face-to-face with that brush. Very risky proposition. Xerxe and Vizicsacsi, I mean, it's an interesting spot to be. I think one of the first times in history where you've had to go through your former coach on your new team at Worlds to win the championship or to get into group.
Here we go!
Here's a big pick onto Humanoid, just instantly taken down. The Karthus is still alive. They're going to try to get 1 kill back. Karthus ulti now coming out, trying to zone the rest of the team away. Huge damage coming in. Nomanz now on the hunt. He has the black shield. Kobbe immediately going to be forced to ult. The feathers come back. Maybe not enough. Pulling through as Vizicsacsi's forced to ult in as well. This should allow UOL to walk straight towards the pit.
Oh, I thought Kobbe had more room right there to fight back with the Shen ult, dropping a lot of autos to kite on back. Now this means Unicorns of Love, they got that pick with Nomanz 5v4 around the pit. They can kite this permanently.
Chachi just used all his major cooldowns. Dashed in. Brief window of opportunity to punish here. Vizicsacsi still stepping forward, but AHaHaCiK and Innaxe can just force this one down. Xerxe is coming in. He has no ult, but he does have the flash, and he does have the smite. Nomanz, they need to step forward. They need to stop Xerxe from getting to the pit. Why? They don't need to take this 50-50. He's going to dash over the wall. He's going to try to make sure that it's not a 50-50. Instead, they're focusing on it. Nomanz goes to the backside. He's trying to
Can he get it?
Can he get one more?
He got it!
I can't believe it! Splyce, when it matters most, every single time it is Xerxe. But Unicorns of Love will continue to monster the fights. Nomanz is still alive. But that's it. Once again,
they're TPing bot lane. They can get the inhibitor. Even though they lost the Baron, they can siege.
Stepping forward, Humanoid can try to walk into this one, but I don't think it's a winning proposition. Edward now on the way as well. Nomanz pushing up. I can't believe 2
And they push to the end. They have so many minions. Dracos, they can keep on going in the face. The wave there just is not there.
Supreme Display of Talent is almost off cooldown. The Qiyana can look to ult. He gets locked up mid-ult. That's not what they needed whatsoever. Humanoid goes into the backside. He's trying to buy time. Aftershock makes him a little bit tankier, but Norskeren cannot tap in. He just continues every form of Xayahs he has. He flashes out to safety. He locks them up. Maybe they can hold it here. Humanoid is still alive. Nomanz has overstayed his welcome. Nomanz goes down. They don't get the shutdown. Splyce once again making the impossible possible. A second Baron steal and a hold in the base.
Xerxe just respawned. He has the paranoid, but not the vision to chase down for more. What a crucial hold from Splyce. They were the ones that picked up the Baron at the cost of their inhibitor. Still, game in favor of the Unicorns of Love, but you can start to see the cracks.
Let me take a look back at this play.
And I think it's an early smite again. We have to watch how this occurs because Boss flashes over, instant reaction with the spell shield. Beautiful play from Xerxe. Then watch him flash in the pit. It is an early smite once again from AHaHaCiK. There's the blue, there's the red. Xerxe steals Baron Nashor.
It's split communication. You can see it there. Boss goes over, and AHaHaCiK thinks the call is kill the jungler before we even try the smite. If he had just tried to burst down the Baron in the window where Nocturne was locked out of the pit, maybe they could have got it. But when this is such a high-pressure moment. If they secure that Baron, they know the game is essentially theirs.
And now there's an Infernal Drake spawning. I think Splyce feel like they can go for this team fight. Kobbe level 16 now. 4 items, 100% crit chance.
No flash.
If ever there was a moment, this has to be it.
Vizicsacsi's going on a walkabout. Why is he here? Vizicsacsi flashing out to safety. The Qiyana's going to run him down. Doesn't even need to use any summoners of her own.
How much time can he buy, though? Because right now, Splyce are pushing mid. They do have Baron buff. Remember, he falls down, so at most, it's 1 tower here. Ultimate blown by Innaxe. They're trying to go in.
Big ult comes in from the Karthus.
Ooh.
Lots of damage. Kobbe forced to ult out. Splyce are going to be able to retreat. There's a massive wave stacking on the bottom side. There are no TPs left for the Unicorns of Love.
Unicorns want to push down mid lane. With the numbers advantage, they say, forget the Infernal Drake. Maybe you can make something happen here. or just reset and push for that. They're splitting up on the map at the moment, and they know there's not a whole lot of wave clear for Splyce. It really is Kobbe who has to step up to the wave to hit those minions. They can just walk straight down this middle lane with the numbers advantage and take this tower.
Qiyana ult's up and available as well. Difficult to use in the enemy base to be certain, but it means they can't stand next to that inhibitor. The Wall of Pain, once again, making so much space. Kobbe cannot step forward when the Unicorns of Love have set up this line of scrimmage.
It's probably the strongest thing about this composition for Unicorns, the zone control and the zoning they can use, not just with, you know, the towers from Heimerdinger, but the wall from Karthus. Nomanz just existing near the backline.
Here comes Nomanz.
They can't come close.
Existing again.
Existing with
Won't find a
26k damage this entire game.
I don't think Qiyana gets through again, Ender.
He's done more damage than Xerxe, Humanoid, and Kobbe combined.
I don't think Qiyana gets through again, Ender.
You can't let Qiyana through. And this takes me back to game one when Unicorns banned it on blue side. I thought they were crazy. They realized the error in their ways, and it is looking ridiculous.
And I think it's, I mean, there are changes that Splyce can make, right? They waited till second phase to try to pick their mid laner. They could have opted to pick the Akali earlier on. They could have opted to pick something more comfortable for Humanoid. He was forced on this Lissandra with 2 bans targeted at the mid lane.
It also just felt like they got outplayed in the early game. In a series dominated by early jungle
Innaxe.
passing, AHaHaCiK had the advantage.
This is what they're waiting for. He flashes over the wall. Can't try to buy a bit of time. Lays down the big turret. Edward now coming in. Now he goes golden again. That's going to be the double. He wants to make his way out to safety. Are they actually going to be able to kill him? AHaHaCiK is dealing so much damage in the pits. The shutdown onto the Heimer will go through. Double Xayah is not enough. The stopwatch as well as the hourglass itself.
Splyce not going to be able to get anything off the back of that. Just go back and start clearing away the super minions. The longer they hold on, though, the super minions are just guaranteed gold income as they smash through the minion waves on the side of Splyce. It means Unicorns continually get denied, and Splyce continue to have more and more opportunities to pick up gold and experience. Kobbe farming his jungle consistently. Now he finally has that Quicksilver Sash. Team fighting has gotten easier. Still not...
You have to credit Splyce for adaptation in the late game. They're no longer looking for the big fights. They're looking for these little picks to keep themselves in longer and longer to give Kobbe more and more time to scale up. And this could have gone terribly if anyone else was here.
Right, but they saw Nomanz in the top lane, clearing away the minion wave, the strongest member, it seems, on the side of the Unicorns. And, of course, the Zhonya's plus the stopwatch that he didn't use earlier, double interaction, going to be burnt. And that's a really powerful tool when you consider that all Splyce want to be doing in these fights is diving your backline. That's an extra 2.5 seconds he will not be able to stall them for in the next 5v5.
Checking in on the summoner spells as well. Vizicsacsi, of course, with no ult available, has his TP. Kobbe has his. Flashes for Norskeren. Kobbe, now we're going to see the fight break out. And Nomanz just gets right back out. The Karthus all coming in is going to do a lot of damage. Multiple members locked up. Humanoid chunked on the side. I don't think anyone's making it out of this one. Xerxe manages to get taken down. Only a single kill onto the side of Splyce. Unicorns of Love were looking for more there, but they will not find it. Splyce barely making it out.
Yeah, you can see in that corridor, Unicorns chose to fight in. Really good position from them because Kobbe actually can't fight back. He is zoned because his front line goes down quickly and won't be able to fight. Now, Xerxe down for 30 seconds. No chance of a steal. You'd have to imagine here. Third time must be the charm for the Unicorns of Love. Splyce could look for a team fight, but without the Featherstorm, it's got to be an uphill battle.
The Baron is going to fall. 36 minutes into the game, a 5K lead held onto by Unicorns of Love. 4 Drakes in their favor. Humanoid now in trouble. They're not going to overcommit for the play, however. Will back off. They secured the Baron. They've gotten everything they wanted. The pick more than enough to help them take that one, and now it's the base in the sights of Unicorns of Love.
Splyce are going to have to pull the trigger. The siege from the Unicorns is deadly with Baron. The wave clear will not be there from Splyce, and the poke certainly will be from Unicorns. Setting up now to push up towards the top side of the map. That bot lane inhibitor has respawned, but mid lane still going to be in favor of the Unicorns of Love. Featherstorm still down from Kobbe. That means team fighting almost impossible for this squad. If Unicorns can find the fight now, can find the siege when Splyce can't fight back, that'll be their opening.
Small window. Vizicsacsi going to take a ton of poke damage. Guardian there to mitigate at least some of that. The Skittles from AHaHaCiK zoning the rest of the team off the tower. A Humanoid still ready on the flank. Will not take the claw in.
Just drop the wall and step up to hit the tower. That has to be the play here. But Innaxe not feeling confident enough to drop any auto sim stealth, waiting for the poke. Gonna be another 20 more seconds before that next wave reaches this top lane. Spells are back up for Splyce. This may be where they decide to draw the line here. Flashes across the board. It will be Norskeren to lead the charge in if they can find a flank.
They need to find a window now. He's going away. All the engaged tools are being burned onto Nomanz. Nomanz will get taken down. He gets a decent ult off, but that's the shutdown going through. Unicorns of Love instead now locking up Vizicsacsi, setting their sights on that top lane inhibitor. AHaHaCiK has the ult up and available. The flash taunt, it's perfect from Vizicsacsi, but AHaHaCiK is still alive for now. The whole team stepping forward. AHaHaCiK trying to catch himself in the middle of the fight. Double Zhonya's his Humanoid may find himself in trouble. That's the Karthus ult. Who's going to drop down to say he doesn't have enough? So many members dropping in the face of the Requiem. And the Requiem for Unicorns of Love might just sound like Silver Scrapes. Kobbe closes this one out. Big stun. The binding goes in. Norskeren. He blocks once again. Who can't Norskeren save in these clutch moments?
This is where it gets so hard for Kobbe. He wants to fight. He is stronger than Innaxe, but he simply does not have the range with errant skill shots being thrown his way constantly. It is a 3-for-3 at the end of the day. But the inhibitors are all still alive from Splyce. We see this fight one more time. It's after they got the initial pick. Brilliant engage from Vizicsacsi to make AHaHaCiK have absolutely nowhere to go. And then keep your eyes on Kobbe. He has to kite back in the situation, but now he's zoned. He has no one in front of him, so he can't step into this fight. If he does have that front line, it becomes a very different situation. As just stepping forward, he has to play around the cooldowns. Once the W goes down from Innaxe, that's when he can be much more aggressive. Crucial block there from Norskeren to deny the Black Shield on towards Splyce's AD carry. But ultimately, just a dead even team fight.
A dead even team fight when they started the team fight by instantly killing the Qiyana. That's a terrifying prospect. Vizicsacsi feeling very confident to step forward like that. It looks like the Elder Dragon, in the eyes of the Unicorns of Love, their lead isn't nearly as relevant as it once was. We're 40 minutes into the game just about. Kobbe has every item he's going to get.
AHaHaCiK full build, Nomanz full build as well. Everyone is stocked up and ready to fight. The Infernal Drake's certainly going to be huge.
Vizicsacsi potentially in trouble. They can't afford to burn too many cooldowns on the Shen before the fight kicks off, but they can slowly but surely chip him down. The ulti coming through. It's going to lock up Norskeren as well. Nomanz going to grab that one. Splyce going to have to back off.
UOL continue to pick off Vizicsacsi before these crucial fights. It's so important for them. Now as there's effectively no fight left to be had for Splyce. 50-second death timers as well. A 4-stacked elemental Elder Dragon now for the Unicorns. And they don't need Baron buff because all 3 inhibitors are exposed. They can just run straight into that base and sweep across and take all 3.
Splyce, the fact that they've survived this long already feels like a miracle. 2 Baron steals, a fantastic base hold. Norskeren with some clutch blocks left and right. But I don't think it's going to be enough against this final push, Ender. This could be it. This should be the moment where Splyce lose this game. 1 inhibitor to fall, a second going to match it, a third sure to follow. 14 seconds on Vizicsacsi. Youmu's used, the audacity used just to get closer to the inhibitor. AHaHaCiK a constant threat. They cannot dive in. The Heimer and the Karthus will punish. That's 3 inhibitors down. Baron in 1 minute and 44 seconds. If UOL really want to take the slow route, they really want to close out cleanly, they can wait for that objective.
Do they want to force a fight? Vizicsacsi has spawned with Stand United. Maybe they thought if we can fight before they reset, before they can finish off a couple more items, we can make something happen, but that's not going to be the case. Elder Dragon is going to bridge the gap for Unicorns all the way up until our 4th Baron of the game spawns, Dracos.
40 minutes. The Splyce time meme is dying with this series for the record.
It's Unicorns time.
And look, there's a Titanic Hydra for Shen. You've got a very fed Xayah. Lissandra is pretty solid at clearing waves at this point. A lot of items. So you maybe can hold out for a while against double super minion spawns. And you're going to get a lot of money for doing so. But as mentioned, the money's going to mean less and less at this point. The Karthus scaling continues, however, to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Dark Harvest, of course, only going to make that even worse.
I wonder how Splyce attacked this fight. I feel like you try to go front to back. Deal with Boss and Nomanz first.
Humanoid going in. Looks like they're trying to kite on Nomanz, but it's a massive ult. He manages to hit 2 members. The rest of the team now on the retreat. Nomanz still alive. And that's it. That should be it.
Look at the burn!
Oh, health bars.
Oh,
Gone, trying to snipe him. Redemption.
He's gonna burn! Edward!
Baby burn. And just like that, it's the Requiem. It's the redemption. It's everything you could want as a Unicorns of Love fan, because here, in the moment where it matters most, they have turned the game. They will look to break the base. 1 tower left standing in front of them. Slowly but surely moving in. Kobbe, there's just too many members in front of him. He does not have the damage. He does not have what it takes. So when push comes to shove, Unicorns of Love take us to Game 5. Get ready, because it's time for Silver Scrapes.
Unicorns came out strong in this one. Draco's fiery early game start from a AHaHaCiK, dominating inside of that jungle matchup. And then Nomanz, my God, on that Qiyana was that nasty.
That was an incredible game of League of Legends. Unicorns of Love, we were like, how does this comp win the game? And we just honestly did not expect them to pull that far ahead. But it becomes very clear when you have a Karthus and a Heimerdinger on the same team that, well, you win because no one can walk into you. And if they can't walk into you when you're doing a Baron, though Splyce did make a valiant effort to do so, you're eventually going to lose. It does admittedly take 2 steals from Xerxe, a Miracle base heal hold from Humanoid, a flash body block on a Morgana binding, but Unicorns of Love got there in the end.
If we've learned anything from the series is that in this best of 5, you can't just take the early game for granted. You can't say 10K gold lead, that's a win anymore. Instead, there's so much power. We've seen both teams try to fight back in the mid game. This is just absolutely just a crazy series.
That's lesson 1. Lesson 2 is ban Qiyana. For more on that game, let's hear from the analysts.
Good advice.
It is a crazy series, and
It's the power of pink! The power of pink!
I wanted to see. 5 hours ago, I stared that camera down the lens and said, I want 4 more games. I got my wish. Now, before we head into the 5th and final game for either Unicorns of Love or Splyce, let's dial in on what happened this game, starting with the team compositions. And actually, Vedius, you were talking about some things you wanted to see from UOL. They came true.
Yeah, so one of the big things we really wanted to see was enabling the solo laners. And what better way to do that than getting a Qiyana and Renekton? But crucially, notice the bans. All of them were directed towards the top laner, Vizicsacsi. They did not allow him to have the same comfort and power that he normally has, enabling Boss in the top lane, and with the Qiyana in mid as well, and Akali and LeBlanc being blind pick. All of these bans disabled the solo laners.
And a couple of things. Qiyana specifically, as you mentioned, has now been first picked, won a game for both of these teams. Splyce have already done it in the series now. UOL add their name to the list. But this is the second time that Heimerdinger has been up. Remember back to the first game, it was super late game scaling. KL composition eventually came online after a huge lead from Splyce. And we haven't seen it all series. We saw it in the group stage, and then they go back with the Morgana in the bottom side. They look safe, and the rest of the map just explodes.
But what's so crucial about this is it ties in with what we wanted to see. Better enabling of the solo laners with some late game insurance, and that's where the Karthus comes in. AHaHaCiK on this champion looked fantastic, and the damage he dealt in the late game was ridiculous.
Please tell me we have some replays of some of the moments throughout this game, maybe some of the early game kills.
Yes, we do.
Happen to come on the side of UOL, landing in Nomanz hands.
Because one of the big things was how they played through their 2 solo laners and how they utilized the Karthus in the early game. They just abandoned bot. They left it to play by itself, and this meant the Kobbe and Norskeren couldn't snowball through this lane, whereas on the top side of the map, things were only going in the favor of UOL.
Yeah, and the worst thing you could possibly do in the early game is accelerate AHaHaCiK on the Karthus. He's here in all of these plays. You have to shout it out. That was a perfectly timed grenade.
Yes.
On the exit of stasis there, and this was just a complete flip on what we've seen in every single other game this series.
And before the previous game started, we said we want to see these solo laners pop off. We want to see Unicorns of Love activating their carries, and Nomanz was absolutely activated. He had a fantastic game.
Yeah, he certainly did, picking up the Qiyana, and the big thing that was that it was also flex. The casters, we were sitting behind the scenes, fans at home, looking at that lock-in and being like, okay, this is very likely going to the jungle position, but then they switched that one up. Huge performance from the man in the mid lane.
A supreme display of talent is what we saw today from Nomanz. The guy had a great rise game in Game 4, and that was kind of the indication. I said, okay, maybe if you just put a few more resources into him, maybe he can really pop off. And I'm so happy that we got to see this pop-off game from him, because while he often plays the scaling, the safe, the wait to late game mid laners, he was able to showcase what he's able to do, especially on champions like this.
1,000 damage per minute throughout the course of the game. That is phenomenal stuff. Now, we've been praising Unicorns a lot because they won the game.
Yep.
But Ender said it best. If this series has taught us one thing, is that an early game advantage cannot be taken for granted, and that even 10,000 gold leads don't matter. I actually think that might be word
Yeah,
for word.
you can't trust a 10k gold lead,
Because
apparently.
a man like Xerxe is just going to steal your Barons,
Yes,
Ejim.
it would not be a UOL versus Splyce 5-game series without mid-game blunders from both sides. How, after a double stolen Baron mid-game, they end up ending that one? Obviously, you have to give credit to them. The mental resilience in such a weird one. There was almost a 200 CS discrepancy for the Xayah. The same can be said from the Karthus, and this was just wild. Like, what is going on?
Xerxe and Splyce did not make it easy for UOL to close out that game, and a large part of why they were able to do it was because of the superior drafting that came out from them. But moving into Game 5, Splyce are now on the blue side. This is where things become a lot more difficult because Splyce have more creative control in the draft. They get to first pick the Qiyana this time around.
So, Ejim, this is normally the point where I'm going to ask a question. Can you predict my question?
Yeah, I can. I'm going to say, what side of the map won in first game?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be blue.
Yes.
Second game, that's going to be
Yes.
blue. Third is
So
blue.
what does
and
that
fourth
mean?
is blue.
Who's going to win this game legitimately without memeing on blue side?
Splyce, blue side, I think it is a little bit of a meme, but it has so much credit. It's been consistent through multiple teams, multiple days, multiple best of fives. It's coming up clutch.
Yeah, I feel that because of how much control it has in the draft, and the thing that I'm curious about is whether or not UOL actually just stick to their game plan. They actually just ban out the top laners that they did in the first half. Put Vizicsacsi on something that he's not comfortable on, something that they can really attack him with, and then see if they can get Nomanz something that he can just carry on. Because if they do, there is a real chance that UOL can make the upset happen, remove Europe's third seed, and make it towards groups.
During the course of the summer split, we saw two versions of Splyce. The third best team in Europe throughout the regular season. And then some magical version of Splyce appeared that got defeated by Rogue, that almost got taken up by Origin with a substitute jungler. All of the pressure is on Europe's third seed on their home soil in their home studio. Do you believe in Splyce under all of that pressure with momentum on Unicorn's side?
I do believe in Splyce, and the biggest reason is because of Kobbe in the bot lane. I feel like that throughout this series, he has been consistent, reliable, and dominant. And if they just remove the Heimerdinger, they remove the safety, the difference between him and Innaxe will be enough to take Splyce to group stage.
Ejim, very briefly, who will win Game 5 and
As
why?
the emerging region representative, we've got a couple of EU guys here. I reckon a best of 5 is just a series of best of 1s. If you can win 1, you can win 2, and maybe you can win 3 to get the CIS to group stage.
I'm just saying he's color-coded with the logo behind him. My analysts are split. The Unicorns of Love and Splyce are going to Game 5. Let's see who advances to the World's group stage right after this.
Ambitious use right there, but they will be able to pick up at least one plate for themselves. That's a taunt!
Or Vizicsacsi trying to buy a bit more time with Spirit's Refuge, but he can't sidestep enough. The Skittles!
Walking in 1v3. Oh no!
Gets locked up. Hello? Nomanz?
Oh!
That's huge! Kobbe brings the feathers back and he locks him up, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Vizicsacsi out of the midst of the team. Humanoid running for his life. Splyce may have got the Baron, but they will lose the following fight. Humanoid taken out. He's going to dash over the wall. He's going to try to make sure that it's not a 50-50. Instead of focusing on it, Nomanz goes to the backside. He's trying to get it. Can he get one more? He got it! I can't believe it! Splyce, when it matters most, every single time. Flash taunt, it's perfect from Vizicsacsi, but AHaHaCiK is still alive for now. The whole team stepping forward. AHaHaCiK trying to catch himself in the middle of the fight. Doubles on is his Humanoid. May find himself in trouble. That's the Karthus ult. Who's going to drop down to say he doesn't have enough?
Deal with Boss and Nomanz first.
Humanoid going in. Looks like they're trying to kite on Nomanz, but it's a massive ult. He manages to hit 2 members. The rest of the team now on the retreat. Nomanz still alive. Unicorns of Love take us to Game 5. Get ready, because it's time for Silver Scrapes.
Bye.